The Pittsburgh Steelers are 9 days from the 21st pick in the 2025 NFL draft, and everything is all over the board. You can go to any outlet across the entire internet and probably find every single different scenario the Pittsburgh Steelers could come up with in the first round of the NFL draft. We're talking quarterback. We're talking different quarterbacks, running back, wide receiver, offensive lineman, safety, corner, defensive tackle, 15 of them probably at this point. And you're sitting around going, wow. Oh, 6 days. Excuse me. 6 days. My apologies. 6 days. 1 week yesterday. I didn't mean 10 days. 6 days from the NFL draft. And you could find every single scenario, every single one. But you got to ask, what's the dream for the Pittsburgh Steelers? If the Steelers had it their way, if they could come up with a perfect draft that is realistic, what would it look like next Thursday night? And where would it go from there? Well, I was doing an NFL on SI mock draft Wednesday, and we're all in a conference call. We're sitting there diving through the picks, and I'm sitting there at 21 thinking, okay, who can the Pittsburgh Steelers get? Who's on their board? Obviously, Shedeur flies off the board at 9. Okay, gone. No, can't sit there anymore. Gotta die from the Shedeur Sanders dream. Is Jackson Dart the move? What running backs are still going to be there? Are wide receivers still going to be on the board? What defensive tackles can the Pittsburgh Steelers land that you make feel really good at 21? Is Kenneth Grant there? Is Walter Nolan there? Is Derek Harmon there? Harmon off the board. Walter Nolan off the board. You're sitting there, Kenneth Grant, easy pick right now. Easy pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Matthew Golden's still there. Emeka Ibuka's still there. Omarion Hampton's still there. Pick before the Pittsburgh Steelers. Denver Broncos. Hampton, gone. I'm looking at the board at 21, and I'm thinking Kenneth Grant's the answer, right? Then I realized Will Johnson's still on there. And that is by far the easiest pick the Pittsburgh Steelers would make at the 21st pick in the first round of the 2025 NFL draft without question. He surpasses quarterback. He surpasses wide receiver. He surpasses running back. He surpasses defensive tackle. That is their dream pick, realistically, is Will Johnson. And we've got others, and I'm going through second, third, fourth round. But I want to make sure that you guys get involved as well. So toss it in there. If you got a dream draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I want to hear it. But you got to start it off. Start your live chat comment off with dream draft : give me your picks so that I could scroll through 1,000 comments and find them as quickly as I possibly can. Round 1 is Will Johnson. I mean, if we're going to look at realistic, serious situations that the Pittsburgh Steelers can be in, if we're going to look at guys that the Pittsburgh Steelers have their eyes on, have had their eyes on, and could be there at 21, because that's the biggest part of this is you're not going to get Ashton Genty. That's a dream. That dream's going to die real early, earlier than expected, I think. You could say Cam Ward falls to them, and that's the easiest pick in the book. Yeah, obviously, but that would never happen and is not going to happen at all in this draft. You could say Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, a billion others. Realistically, Will Johnson is a guy that can go anywhere from like 10 to 21. I doubt he makes it past 21. And nobody has any idea where he's going to fall because he's a name that if other names start falling, if this draft gets weird, and the fact that only one quarterback might go in the top 9 picks or 8 picks, 2 quarterbacks in the top 9 picks, it could force a domino effect of just good guys going early, and then quarterback goes, and you're looking at it going, okay, where do these guys fall? Who falls further because of it? I think in the first 9 picks, it only helps the Steelers, as crazy as this sounds. Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Will Campbell, Mason Graham, if they could all go in the first 6 picks, teams are looking at the Mike Greens, the Michael Williams, anybody out there who you could say could be a top 10 pick, but now maybe goes 10, 12. Helps the Steelers. Will Johnson's a realistic name for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round. It's a dream name, but it's a realistic dream to have for the Pittsburgh Steelers. In the second round, we get fun here because this is a dream. And the Steelers are making a trade. That trade is a 2026 second and a 2027 second to move back into the second round of the 2025 NFL draft. In my head, that's the one. That's where we're having the most fun here. Is if you could get back into the second round, you are a completely different team in this NFL draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Completely different. You are going to look at this and say, okay, now we have options. We're not pressed to get a defensive tackle and then a quarterback and then be done. We could get a running back. We could get a corner. We could get all of these fun, crazy things. In the second round, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the easiest pick that they can make in the second round, if he's still there, is Travion Henderson out of Ohio State. I mean, come on. Without question, it's the easiest pick that the Steelers could take in the second round. That dude is a stud. If he somehow gets out of the first, he is a first-round running back talent, but he's going to go in the second round, most likely. And, I mean, that is the name to watch. Travion Henderson is everything that the Pittsburgh Steelers want in a running back. Explosive, physical, can catch the football out of the backfield, can block. I mean, he's a dude that really resembles Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jahmyr Gibbs is so much more than he's been able to put on the field through 2 years because he's working with David Montgomery. Travion Henderson, to me, is a star in the making. Omarion Hampton is a stud. Ashton Genty's a stud. Trayvon Henderson in any other draft is viewed as the number one running back in the NFL draft. He is a stud. He is an absolute stud. Travion Henderson is the second pick without question. He's the second pick in the draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers in a dreamlike scenario. Round 3. Nobody's going to agree with me on this one, but it's Jalen Milroe. At 83, to be able to get a quarterback prospect that you're looking at going, the upside is massive, ridiculously big. And worst case scenario, we turn him into a power back and say, screw it, we're just going to pitch you and we're going to tell you to put on some weight. Maybe you could turn into a taller Michael Robinson. Maybe it doesn't work out, but at least you got a backup plan. At least you could try to figure it out. Jalen Milroe is a dude that in 2 years could be way more than he is right now. Could be nothing, but the upside's there. And in the third round, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for upside. Who's got the Alex Highsmith upside to become, I know he's a fourth, but to become I'm going to be a starter. I'm going to be the guy that makes the Steelers hand me a massive contract. Who's got that upside? I think Jalen Milroe in this quarterback class is the only guy that's got that crazy upside that the Pittsburgh Steelers can be going after. And if you're going after a quarterback in this draft at all, Jalen Milroe in the third round is the guy that has more upside than the round presents and is probably going to fall if teams are smart about this, although his invitation to the draft is wild. But if teams are smart about this, they're going to bump him down. And they're gonna view this realistically and put other names in front of them. And I think as we get closer, that train of thought is starting to pick up a little bit. And then to top this one off, we avoided defensive tackle through the first 4 rounds or through the first 3 rounds. Everybody's thinking that's the one. You got to get a defensive tackle. I agree with you. There's no part of me that sits here and says that the Pittsburgh Steelers could leave this draft without a guy who could walk in and be a starter day one. I think the Steelers in a dream draft scenario land that in Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee. This dude is a pass rusher. He comes in, he's probably going to play defensive end where Larry Ogunjobi played, replace that pick for the Steelers. Keanu Benton's going to have to stay at the nose tackle. I don't love that scenario, but I do think with Cam getting older, every year he's probably going to play a little bit less during the regular season, which means that you bump Keanu Benton over. In a crazy world, you make Cam play a little bit of nose tackle so that he gets less reps on the inside for certain games. I'm just tossing out a dream, maybe a wild take, but one that fits this mold. If you go out and you get Norman Lott. Physical, able to stop the run, has great size. Craziest part about him, NFL draft buzz, his player comparison is Keanu Benton. And if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's what you're looking for. That versatile, could play where you need him to play, defensive tackle. I don't mind it. And if I'm going defensive tackle in the 4th round, you could hope that Josh Palmer's there or Josh Farmer's there. You could hope that you get crazy lucky and like Darius Walker's there out of Kentucky. But I think Norman Lott brings a lot of upside, has instant starter potential. as your third best defensive lineman, but has instant starter potential and has a ton of upside and is really like the end of this guy presents superstardom in his play at one point in his career in this draft. There's a line at defensive tackle. It's deep. And you could eventually go, okay, this is where it is where the Steelers might get a guy that in a couple of years turns into an absolute stud. I think Norman Lott is that guy. That's my dream draft scenario, but I'll give you the best ever, just a quick run through here. Number one, Will Johnson. It doesn't change. If the Steelers luck out, Will Johnson is theirs. Like you can't write it any better than Will Johnson and Joey Porter Jr. I don't care about Darius Slay. I don't care about Corey Trice. Those two long-term is phenomenal and exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers want and need, and changes their cornerback room to maybe the best cornerback room they've had in 40 years. I mean, it's really up there. Number two, you trade up, you get Darius Alexander because he's an absolute stud. And where do you get a running back? The third round, where you're not getting Travion Henderson, you're getting Quinshawn Junkins. Again, this is the best draft the Pittsburgh Steelers could come up with in any scenario. This is a bit unrealistic. And then the fourth round, you're just bumping your third round down. You're getting Jalen Milroe in the fourth, and I'm telling you, doesn't get any better than that. Doesn't get any better than that. All right, let's go through a couple of dream scenarios here, and then we'll dive into Nick Chubb, maybe Kirk Cousins. I know, I said it, but maybe Kirk Cousins, and diving into all your questions. All right. Derek Harmon, Quinshawn Junkins, Jalen Milroe, that's the dream. I don't hate it. I think Quinshawn in the second is awesome. If you could get Quinshawn in the third, even better. And then Milroe in the fourth is a steal. I'm sorry, but Milroe in the fourth is a steal. Maybe he doesn't turn out to be, but his upside is steal worthy. And I'd be all about it. Dream draft here. Fix the defensive numbers. Fix the run defense. I agree. And I think Kenneth Grant's the guy that does that in the first round. Without question. I think Darius Alexander is also there. I think Derek Harmon's there. That could do it as well. Walter Nolan's more of a pass rush guy. Kenneth Grant fixes exactly what you need. Exactly what you need as a Pittsburgh Steelers. Dream draft. Dylan Gabriel riding a draft. Oh, gosh. Dream draft. Noah Strackbein, Nick Belsky, Christian Kuntz, AST triple threat. I mean, anybody who watches Christian Kuntz's podcast understands how awesome. Like, that guy deserves so much more time. He's the coolest long snapper I've ever met, you know? Ever. All right. Dream draft. Ashton Genty. Doesn't get any better than that. And dream draft, round one, Kenneth Grant. Again, doesn't get... I think, if I'm going to be honest, Kenneth Grant is the guy that I think is realistically the dream for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Will Johnson's a stretch. Kenneth Grant's the guy that's going to be there, and I think they have their eyes on. I really do think they have their eyes on him. Derek Harmon would be my number two guess, but unless they're pulling the rug out from under me last second here, those would be my two guys.